What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And before we get into this video, let me just first say thank you guys so much. I appreciate your support. It means so much to me, more than you would ever know. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your comments. You are my energy. You are my motivation on why I keep doing this. And you would never know how much this means to me. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Now, this topic, man, I don't know how many times I've seen this, and I don't know how many times we'll continue to see this, but for some reason, actually, it's not for some reason. Men and women just think differently. And I don't know what it is about how women think, but they have a hard time correlating things that they do and seeing the hypocrisy with it. So women will do one thing and then criticize men for doing the same thing that they're doing. And they'll call out a man on it, but not see that they themselves do the very same thing that they're calling men out on. It's unbelievable to me that they lack the ability to be introspective, to take a inverted look at themselves and examine the things that they do and the things that they say, before speaking to men about such said things. So, to give a quick synopsis of this video, we have another modern woman who thinks it's unfair for a man not to date a woman who is overweight. Yes, this is where we are at now as a society. If you are a man and you do not want to date an overweight woman, it is now being seen as discriminatory. It's being seen as unbecoming. It's being seen as downright rude, which is downright ridiculous. But this is where we're at as a society today. So let me play this video and you can hear it from the horse's mouth. We'll come back and break down just how foolish this whole thing is.
Do you think it's wrong for a guy to not want to date she could, let's say she's a fantastic woman. Would you object to a guy not wanting to date a woman who's overweight?
I would think.
You can answer the question. Go ahead.
I wouldn't think it's fair.
Say with your chest. What?
Okay. Now I want you to take a look at this girl. Yes, she's wearing a lot of makeup. She's got the stuff around the eyes and all that stuff. She looks to be a medium build. She has a cross on, which is very common with women that dress risque. They have crosses. I'm not saying in particular she's dressing risque. I don't know what the rest of the outfit looks like. She's showing some shoulder, but I don't think that's too bad. But take a look at this girl. Her face is aesthetically appealing. She don't think it's fair if a guy does not date an overweight girl. With a face like she has, which is aesthetically appealing to most men. I'm sure some men would say maybe it's not to their liking, but to most men will find it appealing. The white teeth, the full lips, her skin looks to be clean. There are a village of men, I'm sure, that she turned down, that approached her for a date, approached her for a relationship, and she rejected them outright. Either they were too tall, not too tall, they were too short, too fat, or just not attractively or aesthetically appealing up to her standards. So whenever you see a woman that's attractive and she says something like this, you should already know what's coming. She should already know that what she said is foolish based on a dating and mating decision she makes in her personal life. But for some odd reason, women are never able to connect these dots.
I wouldn't think it's fair.
You wouldn't think it's fair.
But where in dating does fairness exist? where an
just because
attraction does
she's
fairness.
overweight. But like, what if she was like what you guys were talking about, like a virgin and like all these other things, but she's just overweight?
The number one
I
factor.
feel like that could be changed though. Like that,
Yeah,
you could
but-
work on that.
Yeah, you can, but the number one factor in attraction as
What if the guys that she turned down? What if they had all these other things, but they were just overweight, or they were just short? Let's say he had a job, he was nice, he was respectable, he had good hygiene, he ironed his shirts and tucked in his shirt in his pants, he wore a belt, his clothes fit. What if he had all this other stuff, but he was just short? Or what if he had all these other things, but he was just broke? You follow the logic that we can just continue to go down here on why what she's saying is ridiculous.
What if she
Men
has like a health
is
condition? What if she has like their thyroid problems or something like that, and she just like
that
has
So
doesn't
it does
trouble?
bother you then?
that doesn't that but look, let me that doesn't change the visceral response we have to seeing a woman. When we see a woman and a woman is attractive, subconsciously we have a response. We release serotonin, norepinephrine. These are responses that we have to seeing women who are attractive. If we don't get that response and it's because she's overweight, we don't get that response.
I agree.
Therein lies the answer. This is why attraction is not a choice, guys. You see a girl, you find her attractive. That's it. Chemicals are released. You're all Google-eyed. Your tongue twisted, tongue-tied, the whole shebang. Same thing happens with women. This is why women say one thing and they do another thing. The thing that women say they like is the thing that they cerebrally, mentally, academically wish they liked. They wish they liked the respectable guy. They wish they liked the nice guy. They wish they liked the trustworthy guy. But like our girl Bella already told us, that's not what women want. Attraction is not a choice. So when they see the Chad or Tyrone, these endorphins get released, chemicals get released, they get Google-eyed, they get tongue-tied. That's how attraction works. You can't try to politicize attraction. You can't try to shame men or women into being attracted to something that they're not. Because when you are looking at something that you're not attracted to, those chemicals don't get released. Those feelings and those emotions don't come up.
And I'm not saying, don't put your health and make it like a priority, but I was just saying, like, I just didn't think that that's fair that, like,
I just don't understand
looking
how
at-
a preference is unfair.
Yeah, it's a preference. Like,
Does anyone
what I
here,
was saying. I
before
said
I
it was
have
an
anybody else come
opinion.
in, does anybody agree with her? Anybody agree?
No.
Now she's actually conflating something that doesn't. She's saying she doesn't think it's fair, but when it comes to dating, there is no fairness. There's no fairness when it comes to dating. That's not a place where you would see fairness being exercised, because I can take fairness and put it in a slew of different realms and situations and circumstances where it doesn't conflate. For instance, I don't think it's fair that I want to be a professional baseball player, but I can't because God did not give me the abilities to be a professional baseball player. I don't have the athletic capabilities in order to make it to the MLB. This is what she was saying with the lady with the health problems. Well, what if she has a thyroid issue? What if she has this issue? What if she has that issue? It's not fair that someone won't date her because she's overweight. Well, it's not fair that the New York Yankees won't sign me to a multi-million dollar baseball contract deal because God didn't give me the ability to be able to play at that elite level. When it comes to dating, you can't put fairness in there. Genetics is not fair. Some of us are blessed with great genetics. Some of us are not. She is an attractive woman. So she's speaking, and this is the other thing. Attractive women are very narrow-minded. They only see things from their purview. And I get it. You can only see things from the experience and from the shoes that you walk in. But people who desire to evolve into a greater person outside of their own circumstances, they work hard to seek how it is to be in another person's shoes. This is part of the pretty privileged problem, is that the most attractive women never have to work on other areas of their character to become better versions of themselves. Because of the way they look, men and desirable men will always go after them, even though they have not developed into better people from a character perspective. Women that are less attractive are forced to develop their character and to become better versions of themselves in other areas because they weren't gifted in the aesthetics department. So in order to compensate for that, in order to get the best man that they can get, they have to be greater in other areas of their person, of their character, and in their life. But women that are very attractive never develop. They never develop the rest of their character. Their worth lies in the way they look, and it's worked for them their entire lives. The only time that will probably change, or the only time that really does change, is once they hit the wall. And they stop getting the attention, they stop getting the quality of men that they were getting when they were younger, when they were in their prime. This is when they start to make adjustments. And they make these adjustments in order to get a quality, decent man at that point. But this is what's going on here. She's only seeing things from her purview.
Do you agree, Nicole?
No.
Anybody? Okay.
Wait, hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
How would you feel if?
Wait, but if I was obese, that makes me unmarried, unmarriageable.
No,
like unwifeable, I'm not high value just because I'm overweight.
No, what we're saying is that men have a preference for slimmer bodies, especially it can be context specific because weight is the one factor that is variable cross culturally depending on where you are. So if you go somewhere where food is scarce, women who are heavier would probably be more desirable because it speaks to them being healthier. But where food is abundant, you would like smaller women. So in the West, food is abundant. We're overweight. Women are overweight. So that means they're consuming too much and not doing enough exercise. But what we're saying and what I'm saying is, I just wanted to ask, if your boyfriend was to cheat on you with a fat woman, how would that make you feel?
Oh, that would hurt my feelings.
That would hurt your feelings, right?
Yeah.
Like not even just the cheating itself, but the fact that it's a fat woman. Would that?
Well, it would hurt me just in general that I got cheated on.
But wait, because women engage in intersexual competition too. So one of the things women will shame other women for is being fat. So that's why I said that women call each other whores. They talk about how old they are and they talk about being fat. So you know that being fat is not inherently desirable to men. You would feel more offended if your guy cheated on you with a fat woman because you'd be like, really? Like, the bitch is fat.
No, and I'm admitting to that, but I'm not.
She says I'm admitting to that. So she knows 100% that a woman being overweight, a woman being obese, is a woman that is found and is less attractive. It's not a person's point of view. It's not a person's opinion. This is general knowledge. General knowledge that an overweight woman, an obese woman, is a less attractive woman. And she knows this. She knows this. Which is why he said, if your boyfriend or your husband cheated on you with a woman that was overweight, unattractive, how would you feel about it? If you cheat on your girlfriend or your wife with a woman that's less attractive than her, it will hurt her more than if you cheated on her with a woman that was a lot more attractive than she is. Trust me, it makes a difference. Cheating on your girlfriend or your wife with someone that looks like Beyonce or Marilyn Monroe is very different and very forgivable versus you cheating on your wife for someone that looks like, and I don't mean to disrespect this person, but like Rosie O'Donnell. I mean, she'll tell you she's not a very attractive woman. As bad as that sounds, because you cheating with a woman that is a lot more attractive than your wife will actually produce a greater attraction for you to her. She will actually find you more appealing. If you are able to cheat on your girlfriend with a woman that is twice as attractive as your wife, it'll actually increase the attractiveness that she has for you. Yes, she'll be upset. Yes, she'll be hurt, but she will be more attracted to you because you have the ability to get a woman and to land a woman who is twice as attractive as she is. She will be jealous. That jealousy will drive an even deeper attraction for you. Believe it or not, I'm telling you the truth.
I'm not gonna sit here
But if she's unattractive, if she's less attractive than your wife, that will have the opposite effect.
and like be mean to bigger women or like bully them, because that's just not in me. I'm not.
Well,
I like think all women are beautiful. I was just sticking up for them.
Are all men beautiful?
Yeah, in their own way. Yes, everyone.
But
Everyone
are all
on
men
this panel.
desirable?
Are you
To
physically?
somebody?
So we're starting to see what type of person she is. She's the type of person that everyone is attractive, everyone is beautiful, everyone's a 10. So it's that whole collective, I don't want to hurt anyone, I don't want to offend anyone type of stuff that we see women do all the time. Everyone's a 10, everyone's desirable, everyone's perfect, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, everyone deserves the best, blah, 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 blah. When we know, men know, everyone doesn't deserve the best because everyone's not going to do what it takes to be the best. Those who do what it takes to be the best deserve the best. Those who do what it takes to deserve the minimum deserve the minimum.
Yes.
No, but
everybody is for somebody.
but,
I
okay.
believe that.
My question that I asked you was, do you object to a guy not wanting to date a woman because she's overweight? And you said yes. You do. You would object to that. You think it would be unfair to judge a woman based on her weight. However, you wouldn't just date anybody, would you?
No.
I'm sure. Do you have criteria and
Preferences?
standards and
Yeah.
preferences?
But
Are some
I
of
said
those
that,
physical
though.
preferences?
That's what he thinks, though.
No, but you would object. You said you'd object to it. You think it'd be unfair.
Yeah. But
So-
that's his own opinion. That's what
How
he
tall are you?
wants. I'm 5'7".
Would you date a guy who's shorter than you?
No, but I have.
So
What's your-
yes.
So that's unfair.
So yes.
That's unfair that you, and I would also point out, height is totally out of a guy's control. You can't control your height as a guy.
Exactly. Women filter out men based on parameters that they have no control over. A man has zero control over his height. A man has zero control over how big his hands is. Because I've heard women say they love a guy with big hands. A man has zero control over the shape, the length, the girth of their genitalia. Women judge men and filter out men and have preferences put on men based on things they have no control over. A man cannot control these things. So she's not able to correlate what Andrew and what this other gentleman was doing. She had no ability to look at herself and see that she has her own preferences. She has her own biases when it comes to dating and when it comes to relationships. That how she says it's not fair for this woman that men won't date because she's overweight, which can be due to a health condition. She does the same thing with men. She won't date due to their height, which is genetics.
As a woman or a man, you can control your weight. So I would actually argue it's much more unfair to judge a man by his height than to judge a woman by her weight. However, it's totally cool. Women will actually insult short men. They'll use it as an attack. They'll make TikTok videos saying, you must be this tall to date me, blah, blah, blah. But if a man were to say, I wouldn't date a overweight woman.
There are men, though, that prefer that, though.
Yes, there are. I would say most don't, though. And I'd say the men that prefer overweight women, they do it out of necessity.
Just to make a correction, Andrew said most don't. He said he thinks most don't. I just want to make a correction. It's not a think. No, it's a fact. Most men don't prefer that.
Because frankly, they aren't capable of securing a partner who is more trim.
Are you calling them insecure?
No, I'm not calling them insecure, but like the reality is a lot of men date necessitously. Is that even a word? Necessitously? I don't know if that's a fucking word.
You might have made that one up.
I might have made that one up. They date out of like most men have very few options. So I think the saying goes, I haven't used this one in a while. Women date who they want. Women sleep with who they want. Women sleep with who they want. Men sleep with who they can.
Yes.
True.
So if
that is an old saying, and that saying still rings true. Women sleep with who they want. Men sleep with who they can. Unless they're the Chad and Tyrones, then they sleep with who they want as well, because all the women are chasing them. But most men are not in that position. Most men are not in a position to be able to pick and choose who they sleep with. Most men are in a position to sleep with who they can.
that's your only options is look, there's some men with fetishes. That's fine. Those are outliers. The majority of men probably prefer women with a healthy BMI and who are not overweight. And
again, let me add a correction. It's not a probably. No, it's definitely. We prefer women with healthy BMI. That's why if you go back into the family tree, go back generations ago, most women walked around with a healthy BMI, and these were the women that men were marrying. The women back then were what men wanted, which is a complete deviation of what we're seeing today. Most modern women today are a complete abomination. They are the opposite of what they were created to be.
obese. Let me ask, do you have a height minimum when it comes to who you date?
Not a minimum, but like I would prefer somebody that's at least like my height, 5'7" and above, which I don't think is that difficult.
How tall was your last boyfriend?
We were the same height, 5'7".
Same height?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe he would have been 5'8".
Right. So the reality is most women would probably prefer to date a guy who's taller than them.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody bats an eye at that. But when a guy says, I don't want to date a woman who's overweight, oh my God, fat shaming, insecure, blah, blah, blah.
I didn't say he was insecure.
You said you object to a man not wanting to date a woman who's overweight. Go ahead.
And I think it goes both ways too, because when you are looking at a potential partner that is overweight, you got to think about when I have kids, A, it might be harder for them to have kids. B, they could develop heart issues like heart's disease, not to mention they have a shorter overall lifespan. So knowing that you're going to be getting into a relationship and that person might and probably is most likely going to die before you, and you're going to be alone with the kids, why would you enter into a relationship knowing that those might be the terms and costs because of weight?
That's actually a good point that she made, because I don't think this point gets brought up enough. I think a lot of times we talk about the aesthetics of it all, which is valid, definitely. But no man in his right mind, unless like what Andrew said, he has a fetish or he has no other options. No man in his right mind is going to choose a mate who is unhealthy or participating in a lifestyle that's unhealthy, or she herself is unhealthy, and being overweight is completely unhealthy. So aside from the aesthetic part of it, aesthetically, no, it's not appealing at all. We know that. But except for people who have a fetish. But aside from that, it's unhealthy. No one is going, so why would a man in his right mind pick a partner who is unhealthy or doing things that are unhealthy, that are evidently unhealthy? I don't think that actually gets talked about a lot. So the same way women go out there and they look for a man, the best man that they can get, men do the same thing. But we pick on different criteria. Men look for different things in women because women will become our wives and become mothers to our kids. And women look for certain things in men because they will become their protectors, their providers. The thing with women, this is what's broken about women. Women look for things in men that has nothing to do with family survival and security. That's the problem with women. That's the issue. If women picked men based on husband and fatherly traits, such as being a provider, working hard, provisioning, security, if they picked men based on that stuff, then you couldn't argue. There's not a man that can argue that. The problem is they're not picking men based on that stuff. They're taking a component from here and a component from there. What do I mean by that? They're picking men based on resources. A man having a lot of resources has nothing to do with his character. So a man with a lot of resources could potentially provide for a woman, yes, because he has a lot of resources, a lot of money. So he can put her in a home. He can give her shelter. He can give her food. He can give her clothing. He can do that with a lot of resources. But, and this is where the issue comes in at, because when they're looking for a man for these things, they look there and then they stop. That alone does not make a good father, does not make a good husband, does not make a good lifetime mate or partner. Because if he has the resources, but he doesn't have the integrity, he doesn't have the trustworthiness, he doesn't have the discipline, he doesn't have the responsibility, he doesn't have the truthfulness, he doesn't have the dependability, he doesn't have the fidelity. If he doesn't have all these other things that completes a man's character and make a man a good man to have, then the resources really don't matter much. Because money doesn't make you happy. He can have all the money in the world, but if he's abusive, if he's reckless, if he puts the family in danger, if he's a liar, if he's immoral, meaning he's practicing and doing immoral things, you cannot get peace of mind. Money cannot buy you that. Money can buy you a peace of mind from economic things. It cannot buy you a peace of mind from habitual destructive behaviors. It can buy you that. Money cannot make a man a good husband. Money cannot make a man a good father. It takes character in order for that to happen. This is the issue. Women are not picking men based on character. They're picking men based on the providing aspect of it, which is the money and the resources, but then they fail all the other components. This is why they are perpetually unhappy, because they're looking for a guy that's tall, looking for a guy that's got a lot of money, but he has nothing else, no other substance. And really, does he have to develop anything else? This is just like the beautiful woman syndrome. A man who's a Chad or who's a Tyrone doesn't have to develop character, his character in these other areas, because the women are so enamored by their looks. They are not forced to become better in the other areas.
Okay, if that's the argument, then the guy needs to be literally in the gym every day. He needs to be on top of his health also for him to be able to say that. And then I would be like, okay, that's valid because you take care of your health and you make that a priority. Then I'll respect that. But like just being like a big heavy set man and being like, oh, I'm not going to date somebody that's big. Like what? Like you have a lot of nerve.
I mean, you make a fair point. However, I would argue that a lot of women desire traits in men that they themselves do not possess. For example, a lot of women want a guy who's funny. Are they funny themselves? A lot of women want a guy who's tall. Are they funny themselves? A lot of women want a guy who's charismatic. Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, you said funny. Yeah, you said funny.
Oh, sorry. Okay. A lot of girls want a guy who's super confident and has charisma, yet they're not charismatic or confident themselves. A lot of women want a guy who's rich. They're not rich themselves. So both men and women desire traits in a partner that they themselves do not necessarily possess. Now, I do think when it comes to your, like, if you're a fat dude, women can also choose to not date an overweight dude. That's totally fine. That's totally valid. So, yeah. Oh, I thought there was going to be a response. Okay.
Oh, can I say something?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I just, I often hear women say things like it's not fair. And I always say dating is not fair. Attraction is not fair. Men and women are sexually dimorphic. We have different mating strategies. We've evolved different sexual selection strategies. And it's for the betterment of us pushing along our lineage.
All right, guys. Yeah, that's the end of the video. There's about a minute left, but he's not saying anything else that we didn't touch on in this video. But I wanted to play that last part because no, it's not fair. And I want you guys to know that dating is not fair. And I'll never argue that it needs to be fair. It does not need to be fair. It was never fair. It was always, guys were always getting picked for one reason or another. So I'm not looking for it to be fair. And I don't, that's, again, that would be the same as me saying, it's not fair that I can't play for the New York Yankees. It is what it is. Some people have the genetics to play for the Yankees, and God gives them the ability, and he doesn't do it for others. So I'm not looking for relationships between men and women to be fair. What I'm looking for relationships between men and women to be is honest. And in order for that to happen, women have to be honest about what it is they want from a man and what their intentions are. The fact that women have the ability to break away from a man and earn their own money and make their own way and live their own life how they want to live it, they no longer have a need for men. We are no longer a necessity to them for survival. And because that is the case, they can now become a lot more picky in the men that they choose to have relationships with. This is what this comes down to. This is why this is broken. This is why society was never set up to be this way. Because a woman in a town somewhere in the Midwest was supposed to marry a guy in that town somewhere in the Midwest. She was not supposed to fly out to Miami or fly out to California and do all this other madness that they're doing. Because now what we have is women from these big cities, so suburbs and small towns, all congregating for the same men. And the men in these small towns, the men in these suburbs, and the rest of the men in these cities are left to be alone. What that creates is a lot of lonely single men, a lot of lonely single baby mamas that go on TikTok and cry, and Instagram and have nervous breakdowns and make videos in their cars, breaking stuff and crying and going on antidepressants. And we just have a society and a culture that just descends into chaos and deplorability and deplorable behavior and activity. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think. I don't know why women can never perceive that the things they criticize men about, they actually practice in their own dating life. I don't know why they don't have the ability to be introverted and actually be introspective and look at their own behaviors. But it is a fact. They do not have the ability in general to do that, because this is a very common thing when they bring up this is not fair, this is not fair, this is not fair. But they think that their biases and their preferences are totally fair. So I don't know what that is except for delusion. But you guys let me know what you think. Leave your comments below, and I'll talk to you soon.